Here he is, Jeff Foxworthy.
I absolutely love this city, and I feel very fortunate to be alive after riding with your cab drivers for the last 3 days here. But the people have been so friendly. I even love the language, you know, because for me, everywhere else I go in the world, people are like, hey, it's the redneck guy. And when I'm here, it's like, Monsieur Redneck. For the record, my definition of redneck, it is a glorious absence of sophistication. That's all it is. And let me tell you, we went driving the other day. We went to Point St. Charles. You have rednecks up here. See, and I think of Montreal as being so sophisticated, and you can easily kind of spot the differences between rednecks and sophisticated people. Because, like, sophisticated people have retirement plans. Whereas rednecks, we play the lottery. That is our retirement plan. And when we hit the pick six, we're going to add a room onto the trailer so we don't have to sleep with Jim's daddy no more. See, I find rednecks, they always kind of trying to hide their money sophisticated people try to hide their money, whereas rednecks, we like to show ours off. That's why we put everything we own out in the front yard. Let the world know how good we're doing. And I've actually found rednecks that have some money, they will buy things just for the yard. Like those ceramic deer statues. Rednecks without money drive by and shoot at them. Yeah, it was tougher than hell, but we ate it. Louise had to marinate that thing over 6 months. Still tasted like concrete. And I've kind of always felt like you couldn't talk about rednecks unless you are one, and I are one. Growing up, I had no idea that's what I was, and looking back, it was so obvious. I am not making this up. My entire childhood, our mailbox in front of our house had the letters M-A-L-E painted on the side of it. And by the time I was in the 11th grade, I realized that ain't right. That M's supposed to be capitalized, isn't it? That is a true story. When I was in the 3rd grade, my uncle did that as a joke, and nobody got it. And not only am I redneck, I married into him. My wife and her entire family are from the great state of Louisiana, and we were... People from Louisiana? Hey, what do you think about this electricity? This is something else, isn't it? It was too easy. I had to do that. We were just down there 2 or 3 months ago. My wife's cousin got married, and we go down for this wedding. And we are with her entire family for the rehearsal dinner at Hooters. If I'm lying, I'm dying. And our waitress that night was, she was qualified to work there. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure she was on a scholarship. But the first time she walked up to the table, my wife's Uncle Don looked at her and went, woo, woo, where'd you get them things, girl? I thought she was going to get mad, and she was as cool as she could be. She said, I bought them. And then Don's wife, Lois, said, you know, I've been thinking about buying me some. And Don turned to Lois and said, you are 62 years old. You getting a boob job would be like hanging a new chandelier in a haunted house. And she said, well, I figured if I put some new lights in the house, you might stay in it longer than 2 minutes. And when we went to this wedding, we stayed with my wife's mom and dad. We spent 5 days with my in-laws. I have decided that should be the next episode of Survivor. Anybody that can stay with my in-laws for 5 days deserves at least $1 million. And everybody here tonight has family like this. They're people, you love them to death. You don't do real well when you have to share the same house, you know, because your lifestyles are different. And that's the case with nowhere to go. Gets up at 4:45. Every morning of his life, he walks straight to the den and starts watching the Discovery Channel at a volume normally reserved for movie theater sound commercials. So you're lying in bed. The sun has not thought about coming up. All of a sudden you hear, like other predators of the plains, the jackal subdues its victim by clamping his neck and slowly squeezing the life from his body. You're in the bed going, you know what, that ain't a bad idea. You guys have been great. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. It is nice to be back here. As Charlie said, I did write the book, You Might Be a Redneck If. In fact, I have to tell you, this summer I was working in Oklahoma. A guy brought one of the books to the show. The book was real beat up. And the guy came up to me. He said, sir, he said, I keep this on the back of my toilet. Would you sign it? I said, well, if you'll hold it, I'll sign it. But for those of you that may not know if you're a redneck or not, they asked me to do a few to try to help you out. Things like if you own a home that is mobile and 14 cars that aren't, you might be a redneck. If you take your dog for a walk and you both use the tree at the corner, you might be a redneck. If you refer to the 5th grade as my senior year, you might be a redneck. If you prefer car keys to Q-tips, you're grown, but you know what I'm talking about. If the most common phrase heard in your house is somebody go jiggle the handle, you might be a redneck. If you've ever taken a beer to a job interview, you might be a redneck. If you see a sign that says say no to crack and it reminds you to pull your jeans out, you might just be a redneck. And trust me, I know about rednecks. In fact, this summer I did something I'd always wanted to do. I cashed in a ton of frequent flyer miles. I took everybody in my family to Hawaii. 13 people, thinking this would be the vacation of a lifetime. It ended up being the Clampets Go to Maui. Because you get my family together, there is an empty Kmart somewhere. They show up at the airport, they are using coolers and grocery bags for luggage. This guy kept like, which one's yours, the Samsonite's? Like, no, sir, we got the Igloo with the duct tape on it and the 5 Piggly Wiggly bags right there. And on the plane ride over there, the movie they were showing was Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. 5 minutes into this movie, my brother turns to me and goes, you know that ain't them dogs' real voice. My sister got mad. Well, thanks for spoiling it for everybody else. And we were staying right on the beach. You could tell which rooms were ours. Ours were the ones with the underwear hanging off the balcony. And according to the manager, the site of the only peeing for distance contest they had ever had there. Which I am ashamed to say my Aunt Rose won in the second round. My family, they don't go to hotels much. They stole everything from this place. When you get out of the shower, you are using toilet paper to dry off with because they have the towels in the Piggly Wiggly bag. One day, one of the maids went to lunch and left her cart in the hall. Lord, they were on that like buzzards on a mule carcass. Picked it clean. I asked my brother, I said, what are you going to do with 180 shower caps? He said, Christmas presents. Then his wife got mad. Well, thanks for spoiling it for everybody else. And as much as I know about rednecks, I know that little about women. Well, that's not true. I do know this. I know women love those shoes. Lord, my wife would leave me for a free pair of shoes. My wife, she's got so many shoes now, we don't go anywhere without playing the flamingo leg game. This is where she gets dressed, puts on 2 different shoes and goes, hun, which shoes look better with this? These or these? I just mess with her. I don't know. Do it again. These or these? I can't decide, baby. Do it again. These? I've never been in a hunting camp and seen some guy go, hey, Jerry, what do you think? Hunting boots tennis shoes. Hunting boots, tennis shoes. Well, I don't know, Ted, do it again. I do know women care a lot about smell. And my wife asks me every day, do I smell good? Like the way I smell? See, because if men have an odor, it's usually an accident. Charles, what is that alluring fragrance? Oh, that's Michelob. It hit a bump in the truck. And both sexes care about smell. It's just women go to trouble to smell good, and men are more like, hey, does this stink too bad to wear one more time? Woo, maybe I should put it in the dryer. Men love that dryer. Don't you give us a cling-free, we'll find a shirt in the sewer, put it in the dryer and wear it. Summer gun ready to go right there. Warm equals clean. Figure this one out. How is it that women can lie down on the couch and take a nap without sticking their hand in the top of their pants? How do they do that? See, men have a sleep button located right there. We take our hand and put it on that button here. I'm convinced women feel a sneeze coming on. Every time before my wife sneezes, she reaches into her purse, pulls out tissue. You men have no idea we're going to sneeze. We'd be riding the bus somewhere like, doo-doo-doo-doo, ah! Oh, man, I'm sorry about your shirt. You can put that in the dryer. That'll be all right, yeah. No, been great. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Watch for Jeff Foxworthy in a city near you. Up next, Confederate Railroad on Music City Tonight with Brooke and Chase.
I remember last year we had these friends going through a rough spot in their marriage, so my wife told me she wanted me to go play golf with him to find out what's going on. 8 hours later, I come home, she's waiting. Well, I said, well, we got to the golf course and we went to the driving range first, so we're sitting there hitting balls, and I say to him, I said, so how are things at home? And he said, ugh. That's my report. You didn't ask him anything else? No, we started talking about football after that. She's like, how can men be so emotionally unattached? I said, well, that's just the way we're wired. We can't afford to be emotionally attached. Not the way we talk to each other. This is the way men talk to our friends, the guys we love the most. A guy will be walking down the street, see one of his best friends and say, Mike, how you doing? I love that shirt. Did Elton John have a yard sale? What the hell do you weigh now? About 2 tons? Good God, dude, eat a salad, you bald-headed fat bastard. That's how we talk to our friends. I told my wife, if women talk to their friends the way men talk to our friends, y'all would never get out of bed. It would be fun to watch, so. Phyllis, is that a vein on your leg or a tattoo of the Amazon River? Judy, I love those stretch pants. Did you drop a bag of marbles in the back of them? Yeah, stretch pants are like George Washington. They cannot tell a lie. Fact of life, women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example of this. 6, 7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text says, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I walk into the kitchen where my wife is. I said, hey, I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were the people in the other car hurt? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. What hospital did they take him to? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, well, you don't know anything. What do you know? I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text, said he was in a bad wreck. Now, you hear this a lot in an election year like this year. All of them talk about the war on women. They each blame each other for having a war on women, which is stupid. This is a media thing. Nobody would have a war on women because they would never win an election. Common sense.
If there is any war on women, it's men fighting with each other trying to get a woman. Because everybody loves women. And you know why every man wants a woman? Because women are in sole possession of the most valuable thing on the planet. A brain. These two guys are like, well, I missed that one. Well, guess what? They own all of that too. Which I think is part of God's great plan. See, I think God created women to guide men through life. But God knew men were hard-headed and men weren't going to listen to women. So God gave women the other stuff just to make us pay attention. I just think he may have underestimated how powerful the other stuff was going to be to us. Well, think about this. Adam and Eve live in the Garden of Eden. God says to them, you will never be hungry, you'll never be thirsty, you'll never be sick, you'll never die. I'm going to come by every afternoon and go for a walk with you. There's only one rule to live here. Don't eat the fruit off of that one tree. Now, God had no more than gotten in his car and driven off when Eve walked over to the tree and picked an apple and looked at Adam and said, think we should eat this? And he looked at her standing there buck naked and went, hell yeah, baby, if you want to, let's do it. If God had put her in a flannel nightgown.
My wife's growed up on a 3,500 acre Black Angus cattle ranch, northern Wisconsin. And you could never tell in a million years that my wife grew up on a cattle ranch by looking at her either, because she's got a pig face. And I'm kidding. Hey, my wife's hot, all right? Anyway, she will be if she finds out about that joke I just did on television. Now, I wouldn't say that if she wasn't good. Look, my wife's hot. Hey, I made love to my wife. This is how hot she is. First of all, she was eating a banana the other day. The banana kept getting bigger, but that's beside the point. I made love to my wife a record hour and 4 minutes. So there you go. That's right. Of course, it was at daylight savings time, but let me just say this, all right? Let me just say it. But still, hey, but still, that's 2 hours more than normal, all right? So there you go. My wife's 14 years younger than me. Oh, boy, I'll never forget when she told me her age the first time. I almost choked on my pizza and dropped my game tokens. Let me tell you the one bad thing about being married to somebody younger than you. Nothing. All right, not a thing, that's right. Sometimes sex gets a little weird because she's younger. You're not, so it's like, hey, slow down a little bit here. Come on now, this ain't a prison visit. Slow down there. Took my wife and kids to the Wisconsin Dells to the water park up there. That's right. You ever been to a water park? For all y'all ain't never been to a water park, picture everybody at Walmart with bathing suits on, all right? What the hell? That's where I found out a wiener twister wasn't a snack stand at the water park in there. Boy, they got some fast rides. They had one ride, 70 miles an hour. You get up there, straight down, halfway down, somebody's underbreeches and swim trunks went flying by my head. I'm like, oh, that poor guy. They were mine. Ah! That's one thing about a water park. Nobody goes home with a dirty butthole. I'll guarantee you that much right there. That's right. It'll clean you out good in there. Next time you can't afford the water park, just stand naked in front of a floor mirror and shoot your water pickup your hind end, all right? It'll have the same effect. I almost got beat up at the water park. You believe that? I almost got beat up at the water park. I'm standing in line, get on this one water ride. There's a dude clutching on this big-ass inner tube. And I said, hey, where'd you get that inner tube? He said, what? I said, that big-ass inner tube you got there. He said, that's my wife, you son of a bitch. They got indoor water parks up there because it's so damn cold down there. Pretty good zoo. I like zoos. You like zoos? I like good zoos. I don't like them. You ever been to a bad zoo with just regular critters, you know, like a bunny and a skunk and a goat and a cow, you know, crippled deer over there. The rhinoceros is just some fat kid with a chocolate-covered banana strapped to his forehead. Which, by the way, is the worst job I ever had in my entire life, by the way. Let me just say that. Every time I go to the zoo, all the good animals I want to see are sleeping already. What the hell? It's like Cosby got there 20 minutes before I did. What? Oh, come on. That's funny. I don't care who you are right there. Come on now. Hey, I told that joke at the zoo and the hyenas laughed their ass off at that, all right? Weirdest thing I ever seen at a zoo was a bunch of penguins and nuns staring at each other.
No more parents at Little League games. We've tried it, it doesn't work. Children's recreational sports were started for kids to have fun. It is the grown-ups that took the fun out of it. Seriously, parents, no more serious. Parents, no more yelling at the coaches. The coaches are not the reason your child is not going to play professional sports. Your genetics are the reason your child is not going to play professional sports. And no more trophies for everybody. And no more not keeping score. Seriously, no matter how badly you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, the truth in life is there are winners and there are losers. And if you don't believe me, let's get in my car and go to Walmart after midnight. Walmart after midnight makes The Walking Dead look like America's Next Top Model.
Heck of a week. I come back from Las Vegas. I stayed at the Bellagio Hotel. You ever stayed at the Bellagio Hotel out there? Yeah, here's what I hate about them fancy hotels. I hate the toilets. They got them newfangled environmental toilets that flush right when you stand up. You ever see them? I go in there, do my business, stand up, gone. Pissed me off. Didn't have time to take a picture, nothing. All right? There I'm sitting on a world record, now I can't get no proof on the daggone thing. I mean, seriously, technology's screwing me out of everything. The maid embarrassed me. She walked in on me naked at 3 o'clock in the morning. What the hell's a maid doing on an elevator at 3 o'clock in the morning? All right, seriously. Yeah. Every time I go to Las Vegas, there's always a buddy of mine. You going to Las Vegas? Yeah, why? Hey, here's $300. Gamble it for me. All right. Call me up 2 days later. How am I doing? You lost everything. All right, I apologize. How are you doing? I'm up $300. I'm doing all right out here. Tell you what, I'll be here another 2 days. Send me $1,000. I'll gamble it for you.
To a butt dial than you will an actual phone call. When somebody butt dials me, I will stay on the phone like 10 or 15 minutes trying to catch them doing something. It's only paid off one time. I got a buddy named Perk. He's a carpenter. He wears this phone on a clip on his belt. So anytime he puts his hands on his hips, he butt dials somebody. So one day Perk butt dials me, and I don't have anything to do, so I'm just listening to him. And I can hear him walking around, and I hear a door open, and I hear a door close. Well, then I hear a lid go up. Being the mature adult I am, I go running down the hall. I find my wife. I'm like, Perk's peeing, Perk's peeing, Perk's peeing. Put it on speakerphone. Me and my wife sit there and listen to my buddy urinate. Halfway through it, we heard. My wife starts laughing so hard she wet her pants, which I think is God's way of saying, verily, verily, do not listen to thee that butt dial ye. They can use the internet, they just can't forward emails. They cannot contain themselves, they forward everything. I spend hours a day deleting the emails of my father-in-law and my mother. And my father-in-laws are always the political ones. If you don't send this to 1 million people tonight, you are not an American. Well, I was gonna watch TV, but this is gonna take a while.
And my mothers are always the humorous ones, which she mislabels in the subject line. She'll have funniest thing I've ever seen. No, it's not, Mother. It's two kittens in a clothes basket. At best, it's mildly amusing, and you're distracting me from surfing the web looking for nursing homes within driving distance. See, when it comes to technology, my wife and I laugh about this because we're in our mid-50s, and my wife says we are the bologna in the technology bologna sandwich. We're right in the middle because our parents can't text and our children can't write. My kids don't even think you need to study. They're like, Dad, if you want to know something, you just Google it. And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody said, what was that guy in? You'd go, well, he looks familiar. That was it. Now you're watching TV, somebody goes, what was that guy in? Somebody goes, he was the janitor on Joey. Of course he was. But I try to tell my kids, I said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from Google. I said, but there's just as much stuff you can't learn from Google. You only learn it from life experience. You'll usually learn most of it the hard way. It's stuff that's not Googleable.
She get all naked on me, turn the lights out. I'm like, whoa, what the hell? Need to be safe. I grab me a condom there. It's one of them fancy ones, lubricated on the inside. Some bitch barely fit me. Turns out I put on a Slim Jim wrapper. What the hell? 9 months later, she gave birth to a little Smokey. Wah, 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 wah. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, not no more. What happens in Vegas goes right to the iPhone, sent straight to the internet, to YouTube for slow motion instant replay, your stupid self. Better come home. Hey, honey, how was Vegas? It sucked. I didn't get to do nothing. What do you mean didn't do nothing? I didn't do nothing. I stayed in my hotel room the whole time. You didn't do nothing. No, why? You're on the internet right now pooping on a craps table. All right, book it. Cell phone's gonna ruin everybody's lives. I'm sick of cell phones. Everybody got a daggum cell phone. They got them in prison now. Did you know that? Prisoners got cell phones. Did you know that? Yeah, you know how they get them in there? They smuggle them in there by shoving them up their hind end. Yeah. You think you got shitty reception? Hey, bend over. Can you hear me now? What'd he say? Something about Thursday. It's irritating. Everybody got a cell phone. I got a little midget buddy. Everywhere he goes, he does selfies on a stick. You ever seen that? He always walk around. I'm gonna take a selfie. Let me ask you something. If a midget takes a selfie, would that actually be an elfie? And that's why I'm going second, right? Put it on the internet. Somebody actually released a naked picture of me on the internet last year. And the weird thing was, though, it come from one of them overhead traffic cameras. Hey. I must have been on a late night Arby's run or something. I ain't sure what the hell's going on. A lot of drinking going on in Vegas. I'm not a big drinker. I think drunkest I've been my whole life was Cinco de Mayo last year, August 16th. And I tell you what, one thing I don't do, though, is drink and drive very well. I've never done that well my whole life. You don't want to get caught drinking and driving. You a celebrity, you make the news. I remember the cake boss, Buddy Velasco, got a DUI. Can you imagine the cake boss in jail? I wonder if he took it in the bunt. Took it in a bunt. Start the bus. I had a buddy of mine retiring from the military. We took him to Las Vegas. He got hammered one night and picked up a redhead transvestite, and I tried to stop him. I'm like, don't do it. You don't know what you... Too late, he done it. Next morning, I see him hunched out there on the bench. I'm like, hey, how'd that work out for you last night? He said, it was weird.
Cookie, eat a cookie. If you want sugar-free, eat celery.
Quit wasting valuable cookie dough on sugar-free cookies. Nobody likes them. Now, you hear this a lot in an election year like this year. All of them talk about the war on women. They each blame each other for having a war on women, which is stupid. This is a media thing. Nobody would have a war on women because they would never win an election. Common sense. If there is any war on women, it's men fighting with each other trying to get a woman. Because everybody loves women. And you know why every man wants a woman? Because women are in sole possession of the most valuable thing on the planet. A brain. These two guys are like, well, I missed that one. Well, guess what? They own all of that too. Which I think is part of God's great plan. See, I think God created women to guide men through life. But God knew men were hard-headed and men weren't going to listen to women. So God gave women the other stuff just to make us pay attention. I just think he may have underestimated how powerful the other stuff was going to be to us. Well, think about this. Adam and Eve live in the Garden of Eden. God says to them, you will never be hungry, you'll never be thirsty, you'll never be sick, you'll never die. I'm going to come by every afternoon and go for a walk with you. There's only one rule to live here. Don't eat the fruit off of that one tree. Now, God had no more than gotten in his car and driven off when Eve walked over to the tree and picked an apple and looked at Adam and said, think we should eat this? And he looked at her standing there buck naked and went, hell yeah, baby, if you want to, let's do it. If God had put her in a flannel nightgown. Of this, 6, 7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text says, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I walk into the kitchen where my wife is. I said, hey, I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were the people in the other car hurt? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. What hospital did they take him to? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, well, you don't know anything. What do you know? I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text that said he was in a bad wreck. That's all I got. I ain't holding anything back. That's it. People pointing at each other here. Women have questions. I remember last year we had these friends going through a rough spot in their marriage, so my wife told me she wanted me to go play golf with him to find out what's going on. 8 hours later, I come home, she's waiting. Well, I said, well, we got to the golf course and we went to the driving range first, so we're sitting there hitting balls, and I say to him, I said, so how are things at home? And he said, ugh. That's my report. You didn't ask him anything else? No, we started talking about football after that. She's like, how can men be so emotionally unattached? I said, well, that's just the way we're wired. We can't afford to be emotionally attached. Not the way we talk to each other. This is the way men talk to our friends, the guys we love the most. A guy will be walking down the street, see one of his best friends and say, Mike, how you doing? I love that shirt. Did Elton John have a yard sale? What the hell do you weigh now? About 2 tons? Good God, dude, eat a salad, you bald-headed fat bastard. That's how we talk to our friends. I told my wife, if women talk to their friends the way men talk to our friends, y'all would never get out of bed. It would be fun to watch, so. Phyllis, is that a vein on your leg or a tattoo of the Amazon River? Judy, I love those stretch pants. Did you drop a bag of marbles in the back of them?
Wouldn't say that if she wasn't good. Look, my wife's hot. Hey, I made love to my wife. This is how hot she is. First of all, she was eating a banana the other day. The banana kept getting bigger, but that's beside the point. I made love to my wife a record 1 hour and 4 minutes. So there you go. That's right. Of course, it was at daylight savings time, but let me just say this, all right? Let me just say that. But still. Hey, but still, that's 2 hours more than normal. All right, so there you go. My wife's 14 years younger than me. Oh, boy, I'll never forget when she told me her age the first time. I almost choked on my pizza and dropped my game tokens. Let me tell you the one bad thing about being married to somebody younger than you. Nothing. All right, not a thing. That's right. Sometimes sex gets a little weird because she's younger. You're not, so it's like, hey, slow down a little bit here. Come on now, this ain't a prison visit. Slow down there. She always wants to try something new. Where should we make love at tonight? I don't care as long as I'm on a heating pad. All right, that's all I care about. We got our anniversary coming up, our 11 year. Last year, July 3rd, is our 10 year, and you have to go to the gift chart to see what to get her. And you know how they got the anniversary gift chart, 25 silver, 50 gold, that whole deal. So I think they ought to add some kind of a sexual component to that gift chart. The more sex you have, the better the gift is every year. I think that's a good incentive program right there. Hey, sweetheart, it's our 11-year anniversary coming up next week. I'm going to get you something here. Let me look at the gift chart. See, 11 years, all right. Had sex 3 times this year. Hey, look at that. You get the walkie-talkies. Look at that. That's nice. That's right. Or you can have anything on the bottom shelf there, too. That's pretty good, too. I like that. That's right. I like that John Fogerty mirror. That's a nice mirror right there. You can have that. Some of them Black Hawk slippers, them's nice. You don't see a lot of Black Hawk slippers like that. 75 years is diamonds. A little old for diamonds at that point. Hey, Grandma, them earrings go good with the pudding on your chin. My wife's birthday, she wanted a facial. I went one of them fancy hotels, got her one of them spa visits. I go in there, she got cucumber slices on her face. I'm like, what the hell? She goes, that takes the wrinkles out your eyes. No kidding. Well, cucumber slices? Huh. What did they do with the rest of the cucumber? Well, evidently that's another $100. You know what I got my wife last Mother's Day? A stripper pole. Had it installed in the bedroom. When she come home, she seen it. Get it done. And then for Father's Day, she give me a ride up to the hospital, get that pole removed from my hind end. What she gave me. You guys been...
Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to maybe tell you a little bit about my life real quickly. I am the proud father of 2 little girls. Their ages are 7 and 9. I live next door to my brother. He has 3 children. They are all girls. Their ages are 5, 7, and 9. My mother has 9 grandchildren. They are all girls. The oldest one is 11 years old. I live in the estrogen ocean, in the middle of the naked Barbie Woodstock. Naked Barbies as far as the eye can see. There's days I have fantasies about being G.I. Joe on a 3-day pass, Hello, ladies. Guess who just got paid? But I tell you something else. I've learned a lot about girls. And one of the things I've learned is girls can sometimes be a little bit more emotional than boys. Y'all, I spend half my life trying to figure out what people are crying about. I'm like, honey, calm down, and just tell me what happened. Well, I came in and I was going to go upstairs and play with them, but then they locked the door and they called me a stupid head and they said I couldn't be in their club and I was looking for you and I was calling you and calling you. I'm like, honey, calm down. You're going to scare the children and just tell me what happened. Because men have no idea what to do with a crying girl. And it doesn't matter if she's 5 or 25 or 75. See, men have no idea because we've been taught all our lives not to cry. That's why when we grow up, we can be out cutting firewood with our buddies. We'll take that chainsaw, saw our leg off at the knee. We're like, I'm all right. Throw the leg in the cooler. Hand me a beer. I'm all right. And I tell you something that I have learned from these kids. Kids today are so much smarter than we were growing up. My oldest daughter, on her 5th birthday, asked for and got a computer. 5 years old, gets a computer. She can use it right out of the box. A computer, 5 years old. Remember what we got when we turned 5? A little wooden paddle with a rubber band and the red ball on the end of it. That was a brain builder, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. You'd hit it about 4 times, the rubber band would snap, the ball would fly across the room, break something, and you get a spanking with the paddle. No wonder we turned out this way. Oh, and nowadays you can't even spank your kids. No, got to give them a time out. And my dad would take time out of his busy day to whip our butts, man. But truthfully, there are a ton of things that have changed for kids in just like a generation. I was doing a TV show not long ago, and they were asking, it was kind of more serious questions. And one of them, they said, what's your earliest recollection in life? And I thought about it, and I said, well, I remember being about 3 years old, and I'm standing on the front seat of the car. Ended up face first in a full ashtray. Yeah, because that was back before secondhand smoke, too. Dead of winter, my parents had every window in the car rolled up there, and the front seat smoking like it's a contest. Our car looked like the Cheech and Chong mobile. I'm the only kid in kindergarten with a smoker's cough. Could I please have a crayon? Do you know, I remember as a child, my mother used to leave me, my brother, and my sister in the car while she ran into the grocery store real fast. If you did that to a poodle now, they would fry you on the 6 o'clock news. And I'll tell you something else. Now that I'm grown and have kids of my own, I understand why my mother didn't want to take 3 youngins in the grocery store. I would rather take a beating with a brick stick than take kids in the grocery store. Because soon as kids down, cereal. You know what? Because little kids buy cereal the same way grown men buy lingerie. They will buy stuff they care nothing about just to get the prize that's inside. Everything's changed. Even their toys have changed. Like I noticed last Christmas, thinking some of the toys they gave us. Lawn darts. 12-pound darts. You could kill an elk with a lawn dart. And there were no directions to them. They just came in a box of 8. We used to pull them out of the box, throw them straight up in the air. You catch one of those with your head, you're getting coloring books for Christmas.
Funerals on Saturdays and back to church on Sundays.
Because Americans are always saying things that there's not that much proof for. You hear us say things like, we're number 1.
Smell good trying to cover up things that smell bad. And men spend billions of dollars on things that just smell bad. You give me and my buddies a bottle of dough-in heat urine, we could entertain ourselves for the weekend. Your turn. I used to have a little spray bottle for mine, but my wife took it away from me because at last year's family Christmas party, somebody sprayed some on her brother's pants leg, and then our dog fell in love with him. And my wife said it was mean, but everybody that's seen the video just says it's funny. So I'm going. If your wife hints she might be in the mood, your kids will sense it and won't go to bed for 3 years. Talking about kids, fact of life, the more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People that only have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that 4th child rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Pick the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth. Come on.
Fact of life. It's like the paramedics putting the paddle on a body with no head. You're wasting your time.
Baby, wake up for like 1 minute. 1 minute, please.
Fact of life, women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example of this. 6, 7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text says, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I walk into the kitchen where my wife is. I said, hey, I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were the people in the other car hurt? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. What hospital did they take him to? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, well, you don't know anything. What do you know? I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text said he was in a bad wreck. Time I get great tickets to a concert, I end up seated next to somebody who has to sing every song at the top of their lungs. A couple years ago, Simon and Garfunkel come to Atlanta. My wife wants to go. She's got a couple of friends that want to go. Well, my mother-in-law wants to go. My mother-in-law ended up seated next to me without her hearing aid. She sung every song as loud as she could, and she knew the words to none of them. Like a witch over Bubble's daughter. Are you kidding me? I will grease your pine. Grease your pine. That's what you got out of that. I don't know why cats never throw up in the daytime. Cats wait till you're lying in bed, almost asleep, and then from somewhere in your home you hear, remind me to put my slippers on in the morning. And you do want to put your slippers on, because you find that with your bare foot, you don't need coffee, because you are awake and looking for a cat. Oh, and my wife, bless her heart, she has to clean it up every time. And it's not that I haven't tried. I have. It's just every time I get near it, I make the same noise as the cat makes. And I've tried to get smarter, you know. Like my wife and I try to watch those shows where you can learn something once in a while, like Dateline and those. And you know, on those shows, like almost every other week, they'll showcase some disease on there. I swear to you, week in, week out, no matter what the disease is, my wife will have it. I have it. I have every one of those symptoms. I'm like, you do not have testicular cancer. You don't even have testiculars. But they've made us medically paranoid. You know, when I was a kid, there was 2 kinds of medicine in the world. You had aspirin and camphopheny. Cured everything. Now there are so many drugs, they have to advertise the prescription drugs on television, and I swear to you, 9 times out of 10, the side effects are 50 times worse than whatever the drug is supposed to cure. They're like, try new Floraflor. For itchy, watery eyes, it's Floraflor. Side effects may include nausea, vomiting, water weight gain, lower back pain, receding hairline, eczema, seborrhea, psoriasis, itching, chafing clothing, liver spots, blood clots, ringworm, excessive body odor, uneven tire wear, pyorrhea, gonorrhea, diarrhea, halitosis, scoliosis, loss of bladder control, the shanks, warped floors, cluttered drawers, low resale value on your home,
feline leukemia, head lice, clubfoot, MS, MD, VD, fleas, acne, anxiety, sleepiness, drowsiness, parvo, warts, unibrow, lazy eye, fruit flies, chest pains, clogged drains, hemorrhoids, dry heaving, and sexual dysfunction. Hell, I'll just have itchy, watery eyes. And I love the Cialis commercial. They tell you on the Cialis commercial, if their product does what it is supposed to do for more than 4 continuous hours, you should go to the hospital. I might go to the hospital, but I'm going to be wearing that little gown they give you backwards and walking the halls, baby. How you doing? Who's got a flag? You want to hang that coat up? Come on.
No more reality TV shows. Seriously. If I want to watch the day-to-day life of unattractive, uneducated people, I will hang out with my own family. Thank you very much. No more breast reduction surgeries. I mean, why should I be penalized just because your back hurts? Come on. Take an Advil, for crying out loud. No more commercials where some law group is trying to get somebody to sue somebody else. We are the most sue-happy nation on earth, which is why our car insurance is so expensive, which is why our medical insurance is so expensive, all the lawsuits. And it started with cars. Have you been in a car accident? Do you know someone that's been in a car accident? Have you ever heard about a car accident? Now it's everything. Has a woman with a vaginal mesh implant given you the prescription drug fen-phen, which caused you to develop mesothelioma? If so, you could be owed billions. I just remember that happened to me last summer. Yes, sir. Captain Crunch is the most time intensive. Here's what I'm talking about. You eat it too soon after you pour the milk on, and you will rip the roof of your mouth to shreds. You wait too long after you pour the milk on, and the captain will put a film on your teeth a wire brush can't get rid of. See, when it comes to technology, my wife and I laugh about this because we're in our mid-50s, and my wife says we are the bologna in the technology bologna sandwich. We're right in the middle because our parents can't text and our children can't write. My kids don't even think you need to study. They're like, Dad, if you want to know something, you just Google it. And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody said, what was that guy in? You'd go, well, he looks familiar. That was it. Now you're watching TV, somebody goes, what was that guy in? Somebody goes, he was the janitor on Joey. Of course he was. But I try to tell my kids, I said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from Google. I said, but there's just as much stuff you can't learn from Google. You only learn it from life experience. You'll usually learn most of it the hard way. It's stuff that's not Googleable. So, I mean, it's like going to the drive-in movie by yourself. You can do it, but it ain't ending in a smile. You're an adult. If you want a cookie, eat a cookie. If you want sugar-free, eat celery. Quit wasting valuable cookie dough on sugar-free cookies. Nobody likes them. Now, you hear this a lot in an election year. Like, if you are trying to get to the bathroom in an emergency situation, it is not a wise idea to unbutton your pants in transit trying to save a couple of seconds. Because the muscles that guard the floodgates will interpret the unbuttoning as the signal to abandon their post. And the 2 seconds you saved on the button are nullified by the hour and a half you spend mopping and doing laundry. You only learn that the hard way. Active life, if you're driving down the interstate and you come up behind that old pickup truck that has like 13 wooden pallets stacked in the back and they're held together by like 2 ratty bungee cords, we all say the same prayer.
Dear God, do not let those bungee cords break.
Fact of life, when your kids go off to college, you need to be concerned about the excessive drinking, the wild sex, the sleeping till noon, and you need to worry your kids might be doing the same thing. Fact of life, 100% of the black men that shave their heads look really cool. 50% of the white guys that shave their heads look like they just murdered their parents. Fact of life, you can have a wife with long, beautiful hair, or you can be on time. Fact of life, if a cable or satellite company promises you something for free, in 6 months, you are going to get a bill that looks like Ron White's bar tab. No more parents at Little League games. We've tried it, it doesn't work. Children's recreational sports were started for kids to have fun. It is the grown-ups that took the fun out of it. Seriously, parents, no more serious. Parents, no more yelling at the coaches. The coaches are not the reason your child is not going to play professional sports. Your genetics are the reason your child is not going to play professional sports. And no more trophies for everybody. No more not keeping score. Seriously, no matter how badly you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, the truth in life is there are winners and there are losers. And if you don't believe me, let's get in my car and go to Walmart after midnight. Walmart after midnight makes The Walking Dead look like America's Next Top Model. Fact of life, if you wake yourself up with a snore, the first thing you do is look around to see who's laughing at you. Fact of life, when your wife or girlfriend gets tipsy, there is a very fine line between her talking dirty to you and sleeping like a hibernating bear. And by fine line, I mean about half a sip.
You wait till we get home tonight, mister. I'm gonna tear you up.
And once she crosses the line, you ain't getting her back. It's like the paramedics putting the paddle on a body with no head. You're wasting your time.
Baby, wake up for like 1 minute. 1 minute, please.
I don't know why only rednecks are seeing UFOs. And here's the thing, you got to discount 90% of that stuff right off the top. Like my Uncle Jerry swore they had crop circles in their yard. And then we talked to his wife and found out she had called Goodwill and they'd come and pick up the trampoline and the boat trailer. So, hey, mystery solved, all right? But let's just say for a minute, the aliens were real and they were coming to Earth, but they didn't want people to know they were coming to Earth. It would make sense that they only revealed themselves to rednecks. Because A, we usually live out in the country, so there's not going to be a lot of witnesses. B, we have no credibility with the media. I mean, people might believe a doctor from UCLA if he saw one and said, well, they appeared to be bipods from a hydrogen and nitrogen enriched environment whose primary respiratory organ was located within their moist translucent epidermis. As opposed to Cletus in his overalls going, it looked like a giant booger with real skinny legs. See, and I think the thing that made Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader successful was that the kids were smarter
than doctors and lawyers. You know, the 10-year-old kids, and that's your generation. I mean, because of technology, you guys are like the smartest generation that's ever been on this planet. And I could, as a dad, I could see it early. I remember when my oldest daughter turned 5 and she wanted a computer for her birthday, her 5th birthday. A computer, and we get a computer and this 5-year-old can use it. I remember what I got when I turned 5. The little wooden paddle with the rubber band and the red ball on the end of it. That was a brain builder. 1, 2, 3. I mean, no wonder we turned out this way. But everything changed with your generation. It's like when my girls were growing up. Every toy they ever got had a tag in it showing you somebody had inspected it to make sure there was no possible way a child could hurt themselves playing with that toy. I remember being 9 years old, my parents gave me a wood burning kit. Oh, what could possibly go wrong with a toy like that? A sharp metal stick that heated up to 5,000 degrees. And let me tell you something, our dogs and cats didn't have a little tag around their neck, but everybody in the neighborhood knew who they belonged to. The Circle F brand, that's Foxworthy cat right there. Anybody else have the swing set growing up? My parents were too lazy to dig a hole in the ground and buy a bag of concrete and pour it in the hole. So we had a swing set that anytime you swung above this high, the legs of it would go There were stuntmen that would not swing on our swing set. And some of the toys they gave us, like lawn darts. Somebody had 12-pound darts. You could kill an elk with a lawn dart. And there were no directions to them. They just came in a box of 8. We used to pull them out of the box, throw them straight up in the air. You catch one of those with your head, you're getting coloring books for Christmas for the rest of your life. And to this day, my mom gets upset if she sees me take a sip of wine. But when I was a child, she bought me model airplane glue by the bags full. I'm in my room trying to build models. I'm higher than AC/DC on the opening night of a new tour. Finally get the model put together, then my dad would give us firecrackers to blow them up with. And we knew they were safe because we had to drive across the state line to buy them from a man that had 3 fingers. Not on each hand, total 3 fingers. That's a good firecracker right there. You'll like that one. This guy can't operate a Bic lighter, but he's a demolitions expert. Remember when my girls were little, I had to buy latches to keep them out of the dishwashing detergent. My parents brought my brother and I a chemistry set. Mom, Joey put ammonium sulfate in my eye. Tell him I said stop. You boys go play with the wood burning kit. Better yet, go outside, get on the mini bike. I don't know why in 2017 there's still certain jobs that are men's jobs or women's jobs. Like if there's but there are, like if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, whose job is it to go check it out? It's the man. You never see this. Phyllis, run downstairs, see what that noise was. Hey, bring me back a piece of chicken, okay? No, if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, it's the man checking it out. In his underwear, carrying a baseball bat. Because that is the official uniform of suspicious noises, underpants and a baseball bat. Don't know what we're hoping to find, some guy in the living room in his underwear with a ball. Yeah. And my dad didn't even need the baseball bat because my dad always wore those gigantic boxer shorts that were always gapped open in the front. That gap was like a taser to a thief. Shut the gap, shut the gap. I don't know why the people with the worst breath always stand the closest to you when they talk. They're like, guess what? I don't know, you have a dirty diaper in your mouth? Can I tell you something? All right, but do it quick. I can only hold my breath for 30 seconds. And you always try to offer them like a piece of gum or a mint. They never take it. Oh, no thanks. I don't like the way those taste. Yeah, I can see where you wouldn't prefer peppermint to that cat poop you're gnawing on right now. I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Does anybody remember when you could ride a bike wearing jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore, boy. Got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. Got these fat middle-aged guys look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit. And they have sponsor logos. Who's sponsoring you, Pop? I don't know why every time I get great tickets to a concert, I end up seated next to somebody who has to sing every song at the top of their lungs. A couple years ago, I live in Atlanta. Simon and Garfunkel came to Atlanta. My wife wanted to go. She had a couple of friends that wanted to go. Well, my mother-in-law wanted to go. Give you a little backstory on my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has a hearing aid that she hardly ever wears because she thinks it doesn't look good, which, as we all know, is the reason they give you a hearing aid. But you can tell when she doesn't have it in, because if she doesn't wear it, she talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night we're at the movie theater, standing in the long line at the movie theater. My mother-in-law tapped me and said, "Don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat." Which is bad for two reasons. One, you are embarrassed to death. And two, when somebody says something like that, you gotta look, yeah. So I'm like, turn around, this guy is glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. I mean, he was mad. So we go to Simon and Garfunkel. I end up being next to my mother-in-law. She doesn't have her hearing aid in. She sang every song, and she knew the words to none of them. Like a witch over Bubbles' daughter. Are you kidding me? I will grease your pine. Grease your pine? That's what you got out of that? It's funny, whenever I get invited to something like this, I think because I hosted Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Yeah. Somebody asked me, what was your favorite part of doing that show? And I said, the part where they handed me the cards with the answers on it. That was my favorite part. But I think people think because I hosted that show that I'm smarter than I am. And I'm like, I knew none of that stuff. I'm not like Alex Trebek. We had a lady on, one day they asked her, it was like a second grade grammar question. It was something about an antonym. And she said, oh, I remember there were homonyms and synonyms and antonyms. She said, I can't remember the difference in them. Can you use it in a sentence? My antonym came over for Christmas dinner. I know nothing. I'm an idiot. In fact, when I started hosting that show, I started making a list of all the things I didn't know, and it was like the never-ending list. Like, I don't know how they know how long to make the cord for the first bungee jump at a new place. It's like, all right, Ed, let him jump. All right, Ed, shorten it up a little bit. Give his girlfriend a free t-shirt. I don't know why the dentist makes you lie to him. Every time I go to the dentist, he'll be looking in my mouth. He's like, oh, you have not been flossing every day, have you? No, not every day. Yeah, let me think. The last time I flossed, you did it. I don't know how women can lie down on the couch and take a nap without sticking their hand in the top of their pants. How do y'all do that? See, men have a sleep button located right below our navel. We put our hand on that button and I don't know who closes the door when the bus driver gets off. Don't think about that. That'll give you a headache. I don't know why the bank leaves the vault door wide open, but chains the
That's funny. I don't care who you are. That's funny right there, man. You know, probably the biggest change from the good old days is the cell phone, because now like everybody has a phone on them 24/7, 365. And like when I was growing up, we had one phone, our entire family. It was in the kitchen, on the wall, avocado green. What was the other? Oh, harvest gold was the other one. And my parents had actually sprung for the extra long cord, and when they said extra long, yeah, those people had that. It was like 1/4 of a mile long. My mom could go down the driveway and get the mail and never quit talking to her sister. But remember the problem with the extra long cord? It was always tangled up. It was just a wad. Yeah, if you could actually untangle the phone cord, the local Boy Scouts would give you a merit badge. That's what a mess our phone was. And I remember when my mom would be on it, when she'd walk all over the house. I remember one night she was cooking. She had that thing just stretched taut. She's cooking, talking on the phone. And I was chasing my brother through the house, and when we rounded the corner, he hit that phone cord right across the neck. The back of his head hit the floor like wedding night panties. It was like, he's laying there making noises like a cat trying to give up a hairball. Like, and my mom never hung up. She was like, and remember back in the good old days when the phone rang, you were always surprised when you answered it. You had no idea who it was going to be. Might be your grandmother, might be the president. You had to pick it up to find out. But now with caller ID, every one of us is like, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that. Ain't nobody got time for that. And some of the things we do with our phones now, you know, like people take pictures, not only of other people in places, their food. My daughter always goes, the camera eats first. They bring her food, she takes a picture of it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, when I was growing up, first nobody had a camera with them, so if you ate a delicious waffle, people just had to take your word for it. And here's the other thing people take pictures of their junk, their private, and then they send them to other people. This is the worst idea in the world. See, when I was growing up, if I had wanted to send a picture to my girlfriend of my private parts, I would have had to gone through the house and found a piece of paper, put it on the table, walked up to the edge of the table, dropped my pants, laid Junior on the paper, take a pencil and trace him out. Then I would have had to go find a box of crayons, and it would have had to been the 64 count box, because that's the only one that had flesh tone in it. I would have colored it in, folded the paper up, put it in an envelope, mailed it to my girlfriend, so 3 days later she could call me and go, why did you send me a drawing of your thumb?
Are you turned on? So I'm talking to my mom. Well, during the conversation, my mom mentioned that there had been a couple of break-ins in her neighborhood. And I said, well, Mom, I said, that's a little concerning. She said, I know. She said, that's why I am thinking about getting my carry permit. My mother is 83 years old. Her eyesight is bad. Her eyesight is bad, her hearing is worse, and she has the balance of Ron White after midnight. And now she is thinking about getting a pistol. I didn't know what to say. I said, Mom, I said, I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment. I said, and call me overly cautious, but maybe you shouldn't be packing heat if you're wearing a life alert. Though she could use her pillboxes to sort her bullets. I said, Mom, I said, you need to think about this. I said, I hope loading the thing is not going to be more difficult than opening a jar of pickles, or you're going to be in trouble. Because she's got arthritis in her hands. And then I thought, hell, I bet I could get her a commercial out of it. My arthritis had gotten so bad that I could barely jack around into the chamber. But thanks to new improved buffering, I can make it rain, dog. You feel me? It doesn't matter if you're a comedian or a musician, you get used to playing outside. You do a lot of fairs, a lot of festivals, a lot of amphitheaters. And you get used to being hot. So last summer, Larry and I were out together. One day we took the stage in Phoenix. It was like 4:30 in the afternoon. It was 112 degrees. And the promoter's trying to make us feel better. He goes, come on, fellas, it's a dry heat. I'm like, so is the electric chair. It's 112 degrees. But we were doing a show one night down in the South, so you had not only the heat, you had the humidity, and I'm not even going to tell you which city it was in case somebody tries to find the videotape of this. But, so I go on stage, and, I mean, you can see, I don't sweat very much. This night, I am on stage for 10 minutes, and it's rolling down my nose. My shirt, you can see through it. By the end of the hour, it looks like I've been sprayed with a fire hose. I mean, I'm just so. And so usually we never eat before a show because you kind of feel sluggish. So when the show's over, we're always hungry. Well, as soon as the show's over, I'm back in my dressing room and I'm guzzling water and Gatorade and all this stuff, you know, because I sweated so much. And so Larry, I can hear Larry come down the hall, and he comes in my dressing room and he goes, hey, come on, let's go eat. And well, Larry says that a lot, but, and I usually go because it's impressive to watch Larry eat, really. But you know how you get when you get too hot. And I said to him, I said, dude, I said, I'm not hungry. I said, I'm just going back to the hotel. I got too hot. I'm going to go to bed. And he's like, come on. And I said, no, I'm not hungry. Please, you know. And he goes, okay, fine. He goes, I cannot wait till you ask me to do something for you. I'm like, how old are you? 8 years old? Like, this isn't personal. I got too hot. I'm not hungry. So I went back to the hotel. And anybody that's on the road for a living, you kind of have your, you know, the way you do things. And I always like a hotel room dark when I sleep. I like it really cool, so I'll turn the thermostat down. But every night you're in a different city, and every hotel room's different. So I always turn on the light in the bathroom, and then I'll shut the door. But that way, if I have to get up, I can see that light and I know where to go. Well, I usually sleep in my underwear, but this night they're wet. I mean, my socks are wet. I've sweated that much. And I told you I only packed 3 pairs, so I just peel my underwear off and I flop in the bed naked and I'm out. So I wake up about 1:30 in the morning and I really have to pee. And any guy over 40 knows what I'm talking about. You have to pee so much you know you can't go back to sleep. But you don't really want to wake up. You want to go do it and then be right back in the bed and be back out. So I get up and I got my eyes about half open and I see the light and I walk in there. Well, as soon as the door closes, I realize I'm in the hall. Of a really nice hotel, completely naked. You want to wake up in a hurry, that's the way to do it, by the way.
And so I'm like Matt Damon in The Martian. I'm like, solve the problem, solve the problem. So I knew Larry's room was right across the hall, so I run over to Larry's room and I'm knocking on the door and he's not answering, and all I can picture is him peeking through the keyhole and just laughing. Well, as I'm knocking on his door, I hear the elevator ding. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I know I got a 50-50 chance. They're either going the other way or they're coming towards me. And of course, they come towards me. And it's like these two Korean guys and they're talking to each other. So I'm like, oh crap, what did you do? I'm like, act like nothing's up. So I start walking towards them. I went past them. I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know? And one of them said something, which I really hope meant, wow, that was impressive. But when I looked it up on Translator, I found out it meant, did you see her mustache? So I know I can't get on the elevator. I know elevators have security cameras in them. And I'm like, what the hell do you do? So I saw like the exit sign and I'm thinking, all right, get in the stairwell, get out of this lighted hallway. So I go jogging down the hall and I get in there and I'm hoping there's gonna be a trash can in the stairwell with a garbage bag in it that I can wear like a sundress or something, you know. So I get into the stairwell and there's no trash can. The only thing there's like 2 empty beer cans. And I'm trying to think what I should do, but the reason that I got up in the first place was I had to pee. And I'm like, I have no idea how long I'm gonna be in the staircase. So I pick up the beer cans and I pee in them and I put them back. And I felt terrible about it. Because I know down the road somebody's gonna have to clean them up. But it was Old Milwaukee and I figured they're just gonna pick them up and go, yeah, that's Old Milwaukee, all right. So since it was a nice hotel, they had room service. So my plan was I was going to keep going down different levels and check and see if I could see a room service tray in the hall. And then I would run down and get like the napkin on it and wear it like a diaper, you know, a loincloth. So I go down 2 or 3 floors and I don't find anything. But about the 4th floor down, I look out and there's 2 pizza boxes outside of the room. Well, to me, at this point, they look like a tuxedo. So I run down there and I grab those pizza boxes and I get back and I go down the last floor or 2 and I can't find anything better than that. But now it's really late. It's like 2 in the morning and I got to lobby level and I can crack the door open and I can see the lobby. There's nobody out there. I can't hear anybody talking. And I'm thinking, all right, just be brave for 20 seconds. So 1 pizza box in the front, 1 in the back. Go up to the desk, there's a woman working. She's looking down working. She looked up and she goes, can I help you? Yes, you can. I said, yes. I said, I accidentally locked myself out of my room. Can I just get another key so I can get back in? She said, do you have any identification? I said, I do, but it's in my other pizza box. I'm like, no, I locked myself out of my room. So she said, oh, well, I'm going to need to talk to a manager. And she goes behind the wall, and I'm thinking, she's not calling a manager, she's calling the cops. But at this point, it's 2 in the morning, I'm naked with a pizza box. What the hell am I going to do? I need to get back in my room. So they had a bellhop stand that I got behind. It's like a podium, and I'm standing there with my pizza box. And while I'm waiting on her, the front door of the hotel opens, and in walks Larry the cable guy and our road manager. And I'm like, thank you, God, here's answered prayer. Now they come walking over to me. Again, I'm naked, holding a pizza box in front of my groceries there. Larry walks up. He doesn't say, oh my God, dude, what happened? He looked at me and he looked at the pizza box. He goes, I thought you said you wasn't hungry. Yeah, I've been sitting here naked in the lobby eating pepperoni. I said, dude, I locked myself out of my room. I'm trying to get another key. Well, about that time, the front desk lady comes back, and now she's got a security guard with her. So I look at Larry, and I said, Larry, I said, will you please tell her who I am so I can get a key and get back in my room? He looked at me, he looked at her, and he goes, I have never seen him before in my entire life. Well, the security guard burst out laughing. And thankfully, he recognized both of us. He got the emergency key. He rode up the elevator with me in my pizza boxes. He let me back in my room. I said, wait right here. I went in, I got my wallet. I gave him $50. I'm like, never tell anybody about this thing. And hell, now I'm telling y'all for free. So when I got back in my room, I got my sweatpants on and made sure I had my room key, put a t-shirt on. I waited about 10 minutes and I walked back across the hall and I knocked on Larry's door. He opens it up, he's still laughing. He's like, he goes, I told you I couldn't wait until you asked me to do something for you. I said, all right, you got me. I said, are we even? He's like, yeah, we're even. I said, well, just to prove I don't have hard feelings, I went and got you a beer. You guys have been so awesome. God bless you. Good luck. We'll see you